like to welcome Jordan Spieth to the interview room. Jordan, making your seventh start at the World Golf Championships Dell Technologies Match Play and fifth here in Austin. Let's start with some opening comments about being back in your home state and playing in a city you know so well. Then we'll open up for some questions.
Yeah, excited to be here. Austin Country Club's such a fun golf course to play. You got a lot of different options on a lot of different holes, which also makes it a pretty fitting golf course for match play. So I love coming down here. Feel like I have tremendous support in the state of Texas. So I'm always super pumped, especially with the fans being kind of added in and things starting to feel a little bit closer to normal. I think that just kind of can add to some momentum and some positivity for me as we start out.
Okay, perfect. We'll go to Shane Ryan from Golf Digest first, please.
Hey, Jordan. My question for you is about the change in mindset when you play match play. And I know there are some obvious ways that you adjust to your opponent. If he hits in the water, you might play it more safe. But I'm thinking more of a psychological angle. Do you find yourself becoming more combative and, instead of a enemy who's like a 149-person blob, more focusing on the one person and treating him like a direct opponent?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. It's a really tough thing to do because you want to play the golf course and not the opponent. Just if I shoot the lower score, I'm probably going to win kind of mindset. But you definitely make adjustments to watching what that other guy across from you does. Trying not to it's kind of a fine line. Like you don't really want to get too focused on what he's doing, but you do kind of need to be aware so that you limit a mistake that doesn't need to be made. It's a good way of putting it with the 150-person blob or whatever, but where you're kind of just trying to shoot up a board. The other thing that's a little bit tricky is you feel a lot of freedom on shots that you don't in a regular tournament because you're like, hey, if I don't pull this off, whatever. If I lose this hole, it's one hole. I don't lose, I don't make double or triple. I just lose one hole. But at the same time, closing out matches a lot of times can feel like the pressure of closing out a tournament. So it's kind of a little bit like you get freedom on some, but then on others you kind of feel a little tighter, and that's kind of the beauty of it. I wish there were more events like this, but it's once a year, and you got to take advantage.
And a really quick follow-up, you've been doing it a long, long time. Is it easy for you at this point to flip that mental switch, or is it kind of weird coming off, a slew of stroke play events to all of a sudden go, oh, this is how we do it now?
No, I don't think it's difficult. In fact, I think, and I could probably speak for a number of guys, but I get pretty excited about it. The idea that you can go out and kind of take on some pins if you want in certain cases, and kind of the back and forth that you can get, in a really good match where you can go up there and stuff it close, or you can be on the other side, and you could each have 8 footers, and you kind of got that mindset like, all right, first one in is going to win here. This putt, if I miss it, his is a lot easier to make if it's either win the hole or tie versus I have to make the tie. So you get those flips and those switches, and I think guys are they embrace that, and I certainly do.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Rex Haggard, Golf Channel.
Jordan, if you kind of look at it mathematically, most guys advance out of the pool stage, either tying a match or even losing a match, at least since they started this. But do you go into it with the mentality that if I just go undefeated, that's the only option that you'll accept? Or do you realize and sort of accept the fact that, all right, I've got a little wiggle room here?
Yeah, certainly on Monday and Tuesday, I'm thinking I gotta go win all 3 matches, and that's the only way I've advanced out of group stage in this tournament is by winning all 3. Last 2 years ago, I had a chance at 1-0-1 going into my last match. If I had won that, I could have been in a playoff. I could have won by them tying behind me, and I could have won by whoever it was losing behind me. And so if you get to a loss or a tie, I guess it's a nice feeling to know that there is a chance still. But the mindset going in is you got to just keep winning. I got a tough pull. I got a tough pod, with 2 of the hottest players of the game, and another one who's, the highest ranked, who, isn't afraid to take chances wherever it comes. So it's a tall task for me. So I'm just approaching it as if I'm in a round of, 128, and I just got to win each match to keep advancing.
And having played here a little bit, I know it's probably situation dependent, but is there a specific hole here on this course that you feel like you can maybe play differently because of the format versus if it was stroke play?
I think people look to that stretch of 12 and 13 as being, a pretty, you got a lot of different ways to go about it, depending on where the wind is and such. How do you approach your second shot into 12? Do you try and go at the green or just kind of hit it just short right and give yourself a pitch on the par 5? And then you get anything from 5 iron to driver on 13. That's obviously a hole that you can make a mess with any club in your hand, and you can make birdie with any club in your hand. And it normally is, just being those two being at that 12 and 13 stage in the round too. A lot of times, flip a match or continue to press one forward that allows you to just kind of feel some, hit the middle of the green and make them have to beat me now. If you kind of push to 2 or 3 up at that scenario.
Thank you.
We'll go to Bob Ballou, CBS Austin.
Hey, Jordan. Welcome back to Austin. You talked in the past about the one thing you could tell yourself would be to play like a kid and kind of had fun with that. And Justin just kind of joked with us that you're talking to yourself more on the golf course, and he likes to see that. Do you feel like you're getting back to that? Do you feel like you're kind of loosening up a little bit and playing the way you want to play again?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm playing a lot more rounds like that. There's certainly, one-offs in there where I'm either contending on a Sunday, and I've never been somebody to laugh much, in contention on a Sunday. I'm out there to just be as competitive as possible. And then, if you have a bad round here or there, but, certainly starting out, just kind of getting into that free-flowing mindset is important. I think match play, you see guys go into both ends of the spectrum and less in the middle there. You see them either super loose or super tight. But I think kind of holding a little bit of a neutral kind of mentality and just kind of enough competitiveness, but enough kind of lightheartedness too to feel again that kind of freedom to take on whatever shot you need to and close out matches when it feels like you're winning a golf tournament. It's kind of that balance. I've felt a lot more. I mean, obviously when you play well, you're happier. You play poorly, you're not as happy. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But within both realms, you can certainly be less negative, more having a positive outlook, and it's amazing the impact that has week after week. It may not make a huge difference the next hole, for pros. I mean, I could be really, really mad and have a great bounce back stat that week, but over the course of not burning that energy over, a few weeks at a time, it becomes pretty important.
And then just real quick, is there one memory, maybe not even match play related, but one memory from ACC that you take with you that kind of stands out that you could share with us?
From what? Sorry, from ACC?
Yeah, just from playing here so many times throughout your life.
I don't remember a lot of the college rounds. Those were qualifying most of the time. We didn't play it a ton. I practiced here a lot of times before we went to the airport. It was closer to UT Golf Club. From this tournament, it's just been really fun as you get down to those lake holes. And I've been out one time on 13, 14, and my buddy had my ski boat out there that we had brought from Dallas with like a bunch of friends out on the water, and it was just kind of weird to like look out and be like, "Whoa, all right, that's mine. What what are you guys doing?" Thinking that they were in the crowd, but instead they went and got the boat and took it out. So that was probably the weirdest thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. Good luck.
Sure.
Okay, Cameron Morfitt, PGAtour.com.
Yeah, Jordan, just was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on the bone chip in your left hand that was suffered in 2017 or 2018 and how it happened. Did you ever get surgery to fix it or did it just kind of go away?
I didn't. No, I probably should have. It was nothing. It was something that was you can clean it out, or you can it's not going to make anything worse. It's just a matter of how bad it's bugging you, and it was for a while there in kind of spring of 18 through that fall, and then it got a little better probably because I started swinging so poorly. Yeah, I mean I don't feel it now, which is nice. Needed to work on some grip strength stuff and stuff like that. I could pinpoint a couple different times, I think, but for the most part, I just started noticing it when Cameron was trying to get my grip strengthened, and I just kept fighting him on it because it would hurt, and just didn't really know what to do, and ended up just kind of playing through it and trying to figure stuff out in the off season, and so it feels good now. I'm able to kind of start to get to do things closer to the way I want to in the swing, trying to progress each week, and I have no restrictions right now.
And just real quick, was it a weightlifting thing? And did you not mention it just because you didn't want to make excuses?
Yeah, I think when it first happened, but I didn't really think it was a problem. I just kind of was like, sometimes you just kind of something tweaks, or like, if your back or your hip hurts a little after you're doing some kind of lift, you're like, all right, I'm going to take it easy the rest of the day. And then it would just kind of come up after second, third, fourth week in a row on the road or something like that. But again, I didn't think anything was broken. I didn't think, there was a huge deal with it. If I taped it up, it didn't feel so bad. So I just, I went out each day trying to play the best golf I could play. And whether I wouldn't blame anything on it other than that I probably fought changes that would have helped me turn things in the right direction a little bit sooner. Yeah, so I'll just keep an eye on it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Todd Leonard, Golf Digest.
Jordan, thanks for doing this. A little something different. I'm gathering people's memories on the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. You're 14, almost 15 at the time. Do you have distinct memories of the Tiger putt and watching the final round? And then did you watch Monday, and what are your memories of that? Do you have distinct thoughts about it?
Yeah, they were redoing the course I grew up at in Dallas, Brookhaven. They were making massive renovations too. They were redoing the driving range and rerouting some holes to make for a new spot for a range and stuff like that. So I was able to go this place. I remember watching it at this place, Prestonwood in Dallas. I went out there with a buddy. We had some access to go play out there a couple times a week or something. And I remember going in and we were playing, and we were like, all right, we got to go in. This is getting interesting at the end on Sunday. And I remember watching him make that putt, which was, it was just another putt that he made that we then tried to go right to the practice green and do, just like we had seen so many times, whether it was at Bay Hill or Jack's event. I mean, just so many different putts or Augusta, and you're like, all right, I'm going to go out and pretend it's to win this one. So it's just such an inspiring moment, obviously, watching him do that on one leg, essentially. And then Monday, I don't remember much about Monday. We might have been in school. I don't remember if it was a holiday or not, but it might have been in school for most of it.
It's kind of right at the end of the school year.
Yeah, but it would have been June. So yeah, it would have been summertime, huh? Monday, the courses are closed, so I was probably home watching it. But I don't remember a ton out of Monday, but I certainly remember Sunday there.
Did you know much about Rocco? Rocco was so much older.
Yeah, I remember him being kind of the fun-loving guy that I saw on tour. Just always was kind of smiling and making jokes, and kind of had that funky motion, played, a lot of draws, and it seemed like he was always having fun on the course. He was a hard guy to root against, but certainly growing up and trying to emulate Tiger and everything he did, I didn't find it that hard that week. Neither did a lot of people, but pretty much every other week he was a guy that seemed easy to root for.
Thanks much, Jordan.
Okay, Sean Martin, PGAtour.com.
Hey Jordan, just a quick follow on the hand. How long do you think that it affected you, and when did it maybe stop impacting you?
I was taped up pretty. So Justin had something going on in his right hand. I remember us both playing with each other in the playing matches, teammates at the Ryder Cup, and mine was heavily taped on the left hand. We have the same physio, and he was just like doing work on Justin's right hand. I had mine taped up on the left, and then I just continued to kind of fight strengthening my grip, and once that happened, I think it stopped hurting. And I wouldn't bow my wrist like I used to, and just kind of fought that too, and just said, I'll just make it work. I'm not sure. And again, this wasn't anything I intended to have come out by any means of any. This is just something I was kind of reflecting on, and I certainly could have done anything about it, and just kind of. It was something that I was playing through pain for the first time maybe ever, but then, I stopped feeling pain, figured everything was fine, and now I feel good. It shouldn't be anything that causes any issues.
Yeah. Justin, on him real quick, he compared his iron play to your putting in that it's the part of the game he has to think the least about because it's a strength. What makes Justin a special iron player and kind of stand out in that facet of the game from people on tour?
I think, his start lines are really solid. He normally starts the ball right where he's lined up, and he kind of like in a way DJ does, he really commits to playing a very similar ball flight, like a few yard fade most every time. And then if he needs to work, a different flight, he can. But just kind of that consistency in start lines makes iron play, that much easier when you can line up kind of left center of the green or center of the green to a right pin and say, yeah, I know this is going to start there and either stay there or it'll cut towards the hole. And it's just so good at having that ball start very zeroed no matter what flight he's playing.
Cool. Thank you.
Next, Ryan Lavner, Golf Channel.
Hey, Jordan, kind of two unrelated questions for you. You've always been really good at match play, even at a really young age. Do you remember any signature moments or matches growing up that kind of established your bona fides as a great head-to-head player?
I remember playing the 2015 U.S. Junior, and I remember my first match, I think, went to extra holes. Might have been the second match. Went to extra holes, and I just remember winning that match and thinking, okay, I don't really have to be. I think I even won the extra hole with a bogey. I was like, man, I don't really have to be. You don't have to do great things in match play. You don't have to shoot 6 under every round. You got to kind of be really consistent and, just try and have a putt to win, more holes than he has a putt to win. And I remember playing that final match, just 36-hole match, and just coming out and just hitting some really good wedges on the back nine to make some birdies. And I just felt, I started feeling like I started getting super pumped because every match kind of, again, closing a match felt like almost like winning a golf tournament. And so you just get that extra kind of confidence boost when you do, and it just carries you forward. So the further into the tournament I went, the more confident I was feeling versus kind of the closer you get to winning sometimes when you tighten up. For me, I just felt actually more loose. I remember kind of starting back then. I've had average success at this tournament, professionally. Played it really well my first time there when it was in Arizona, and then I've advanced out of this group stage once in maybe 4 tries, but have won, matches, gone 2-1 a number of times, and 1-0-2 or something like that. So it's been, I felt like I played it well, but you just got to play it really well just to get to that round of 16 here.
And then unrelated again, sorry, but you have plenty of experience at Augusta, obviously. But did you learn anything new about Augusta or how to play it from the November Masters?
I'm not sure if I'm going to take a whole lot into this year if the golf course is playing very different. The weather we've had they get pretty similar weather to what we have at home just a day later. I would imagine they're going to be pretty firm. A couple of the players have said, the fairways are still soft right now, but the greens are pretty firm already and fast. If you're looking at an under 10 under par score winning, I don't think there's a whole lot you can draw on from this last Masters. The balls are going to go way further off the tee, but then your shots in have to be so much more precise, and you just can't get away with your misses in the wrong spots like you maybe could on a couple holes. So I think Dustin Johnson wins the Masters regardless of how it was playing, but I think that I'll probably throw that one out if it's going to be a firm Masters. Just like, in 2016, it was a very different Masters from 2015 when I won, and 2014 was like 16. They were just very different. It's not to say that one because it was in November. It's just, if you get a lot of rain, and the course is going to play very, very different. So I'll get there, and you kind of assess it after the first few days and looking at the forecast. But they can normally do what they want in April, and I think they're just a little torn in November when you got that overseed trying to come in. Just makes it a little more challenging.
Appreciate it.
We'll go to Chris Tavares, NBC Austin.
Hey, Jordan. We know it wasn't until a few weeks ago that you would qualify for this tournament based on your world golf rankings. Was this tournament on your mind at all as you were making that resurgence, going on that run and climbing up the world rankings? Were you at all worried about not being able to play in Austin?
Yeah, it was. First and foremost, I was looking at the tournament that got moved from Mexico into Tampa, and that was that hit me pretty hard. Missing a World Golf Championship via not qualifying for it was the first one, and I didn't like that at all. Being able to play in an event against the best in the world, not being able to play in it, but that being because of world ranking. So it was definitely lit a fire that I hope to progress forward and not miss many more. But this one being in Texas and being home, and obviously having actually maybe an easier chance to qualify for this one than that one, I definitely wanted to keep playing well to make sure that was a possibility. I run into a little bit of an issue right now where the world ranking system going back 2 years and 3 months kind of hurts me a little, because the beginning of 2019, if the events from January to March had dropped off, that would really help me right now. But because they still linger on there with that extra 3 months that I think starts coming off maybe this week or next, I had to play really well, maybe better than I would have in other years, to compensate for, a higher divisor with tournaments not coming off of, no tournaments coming off from that kind of November, December timeframe from late 2018. So I knew it was going to be more challenging, and I'm glad to be here with a chance. I think I was one spot away from getting in the third category, which only helps you a little bit more. So I've got a tough first round matchup on Wednesday, and that's kind of where my mind's at right now. I got to go out and play phenomenal golf against somebody who's been playing some of the best in the world.
Thanks.
Okay, last question, Bob Herrick, ESPN.
Great. Hey, thanks, Jordan. Appreciate your time. Going back to referencing what you were talking about earlier in 2018, did you get into any bad habits because of that might have impacted your play?
Oh, 100%.
Might one of them have been the grip thing you mentioned, not resisting changing your grip?
Yeah, I was like 200th in putting in 2018, so there's not much of an excuse for that. That was just piss poor putting. But as the year went on, my grip got weaker, the club face got more open, and then I needed to flip at impact, and so it just required more timing. From somebody who already has kind of a weaker grip to start with, you don't really have much wiggle room on that side of things, and so it's something that I've got to continue to try and work on and make sure it's not an issue. It was 100% responsible for me not being able to strengthen my grip, which in turn then is probably normally the first thing guys go to if something gets a little bit off is, all right, where in my setup are things different? And if that's one of the things, that's going to impact how everything feels. I mean, your brain's, I've swung it enough the right way. When it's not the right way, my brain's like, wow, something's out of position. What is it? And, you know, I could shoot 5 under, but for 4 straight rounds to have to time it up a lot more and be consistent, it's that much harder. So it was very much a reason, but I mean, everybody's got some reason for something that they get off. That was mine, and I certainly could have handled it differently, and feel good that right now it's not an issue.
Just real quick, you learn a lesson there, Andy, about dealing with injuries, perhaps. You know, in other words, not fighting through it, or listening to your body more to make sure you get something taken care of. I mean, obviously you have nicks and pains and things every day playing golf, so it's kind of probably a juggling act there. Yeah,
hopefully a lesson that I don't have to learn again for a long time. But you know, it's just, I mean, I weighed, you know, I was weighing options and chose to say, you know, I mean, it's bugs me here and there, but it's okay, and went ahead and kind of, you know, fought some changes that I didn't necessarily think were that important, that now that I have a lot more knowledge of what I did well back in the day and why, really it was that much more impactful on inhibiting, you know, swinging the club really well and being a more consistent player. So yeah, I mean, if it comes to it again, but at the time it wasn't something where I thought it was making that big of a difference. It's only kind of when I look back on, wow, I actually am swinging the club closer to how I want to. This is why. I'm like, wow, yeah, I should have done something different back then. So I'm 27. I got a long road ahead. Hopefully it's one that's full of a lot of consistent golf and continued progression like the last month or so. And I got a lot of good to draw back on, and I got a few kind of regrets, and it is what it is. I think that's pretty normal for anyone's career.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Sure.